Changing fronts, the Biden administration has provided unprecedented support to Israel in the aftermath of the October 7th attacks, and it's been a crucial actor preventing further escalation in the region. Is that sustainable in the long term if Prime Minister Netanyahu maintains his offensive in Gaza?
Well, first, you're right. When we had the horrific attacks of October 7th, where we saw a terrorist group, Hamás, come into Israel and slaughter men, women, and children, executing children in front of their parents, executing parents in front of their children, burning people alive. Of course, we and so many others responded, and we stand strongly for the principle that Israel, like any other country, would have the right to defend itself and also to try to make sure that what happened on October 7th never happens again. But at the same time, we've said from the outset, and we've not only said, we've worked on this from the outset, it's so important how Israel does that, how it defends itself. And in particular, many innocent men, women, and children in Gaza have been caught in a crossfire of Hamas's making. You have an enemy in Hamas, a terrorist group, that hides behind civilians. It's operating from schools, from hospitals, from mosques, beneath them, a whole tunnel network. But none of that, nonetheless, takes away from Israel's obligation to do everything it possibly can to protect civilians and to make sure that assistance is getting to those who need it. So the United States has been pressing on that. President Biden's been pressing on that. But to your question, the most important thing when this conflict in Gaza comes to an end is to end this cycle of violence once and for all. Because what we really want to make sure is that this doesn't happen again for Israelis or for Palestinians. And I think there's a unique opportunity to do that. Arab countries want to see Israel integrated in the region in ways that they never did before. The Palestinian Authority that represents the Palestinian people is, I think, prepared to reform so it can be a more effective partner. But it also requires for all of these countries, if this is going to happen, that there be a clear pathway to a Palestinian state so that the rights of Palestinians can be fully realized and that they can have a state of their own, living side by side in peace and security with Israel. That vision is there, it's real, it's possible. The alternative is that we have more cycles of violence.
And you're talking about the possible end to the conflict. Just this week, President Biden suggested that a ceasefire and the release of hostages still under Hamas control could happen as soon as this weekend. Are there conditions for that?
So look, we've made real progress on getting an agreement to release the remaining hostages, and that would also produce an extended humanitarian ceasefire, which would be so much better for the people of Gaza. And I think, as the President said, we have made real progress on that, and he's been focused on this every single day. Now, whether we can get the agreement in the end ultimately depends on Hamas and whether it's willing to make the decisions necessary to conclude the agreement. It's so clear that that would be the right thing for the people of Gaza. Of course, it's the right thing for the hostages who never should have been taken from their families in the first place. So we'll see. But we're leaning into this. The President's leaning into this. He's pushing all of us to try to get this agreement over the finish line.